Hi everyone, it's Eric Imes. I am joined today by Master Instructor Mark Kurganov. Mark, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Eric. Very nice to see everybody.
Thanks for being here. For the viewers who haven't had a chance to meet you, work with you, I wanted to give them a little bit of sense of your background, location, clinic. You want to mention, you're in Los Angeles, right?
I'm in Los Angeles, and my clinic is in Thousand Oaks. Yeah, as far as the background, I started originally doing body work in Ukraine, and then immigrated to Los Angeles. Had an unusual circumstances from which I had the pleasure of meeting John Imes. And I'll probably give you a little bit of a background on the story a little bit later. It's an unusual story. Usually, John tells the story.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit personal. My wife was dealing with some headaches and some health issues, and I was just looking for practitioners who could help her. And so I connected with John and brought my wife for treatment. We had 2 sessions, and unfortunately, it didn't get much of an improvement. But considering that the type of things that I were doing in Ukraine were more towards intuitive type of approach, I could resonate with certain things that John was talking about it and how he was addressing the body and how he was teasing out the little elements was very intriguing to me. So I asked him to buy a home study course, which he was really surprised by. He was like, "Well, I didn't help your wife. Why are you buying my course?" So we kind of had a conversation, and then I started attending the seminars, and I got completely hooked on PERT. I went through all the seminars back to back to back to back, and in some shape and form, I think that there was a benefit to it. I didn't wait too long in between. I let one roll into the next one, and while it was still fresh in my mind, I was able to pick up next and next level of improvements, and I became what I call myself today as a practitioner. So PERT is my main source of income, my life. I use PERT every single day, and PERT is amazing. Anybody who's completed courses with PERT will tell you that we have a thing going on picking up nicknames. And we have quite a range of people coming up with nicknames, and some of them calling people magicians. And just recently, we had an attendee in level 5 PERT, and somebody said that people in the office were goofing off, making prescriptions for voodoo treatment. So literally, like, people think that it's some kind of a magic because it seems almost impossible to have such a quick improvement, such great results in such short period of time. It's incredible. So there's very few things out there that can come even close.
What was it that you would say drew you to the work? And I mean, for the viewers, they wouldn't know that you were kind of the right hand man for Dad for probably over a decade when he was teaching in San Diego. What was it that kept drawing you back in as far as like your desire to continue learning and being around and assisting at the courses and then now instructing with us?
Well, first of all, the work is incredibly versatile. It's almost three-dimensional. There is so many components of PERT that can be easily integrated in just about any practice. We've had people in attendance who were massage therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. I think at some point we had some orthodontist. We had athletic trainers. So just by hearing that, you should understand that there is a way to take PRRT and make it part of whatever environment that you're working with. So that alone is a huge, huge benefit. The simplicity of PRRT is quite incredible. It's based on natural reflexes. So with very little anatomy knowledge, you can start using PRRT as soon as you have the manuals and you have just a little bit of guidance. You can start experimenting and using the techniques and see how effective they are. I mean, like, we literally have attendees calling us and saying, I don't understand. How could I just do this one thing and already see the difference? Well, the reason that they can see the difference is because this work is very primal. So even in the name, we call it primal reflex release techniques. So back in the days, John would emphasize the idea, and where he started work on the reflexes, and he was interested in teasing out the reflexes that kind of almost looks like stuck reflexes. So people get hurt, they get injured, and some injuries go away quickly, and other injuries will be persisting for years. So this work part allows to reboot the mechanism in such a way that the body has a fresh start. And again, it's incredible because the paradigm started to shift. We've talked about it in many different layers. But one of the things that, again, I remember back in the days when I was starting learning PERT, and John was talking about how most of the time you go into therapy, and therapy somewhat is localized. Somebody will come in and say, this is where it hurts. And 80–90% of the time, somebody would go and treat that local area. With PERT, the paradigm shifted because we start talking about reflexes and how other reflexes in the body can contribute to pain and how they can help to reset the pain. So in many cases, somebody will come in and complain on the body part, but often they're not recognizing that the essence of the problem is located elsewhere. So finding that root of the problem and being able to make changes that actually last longer or completely fix the problem is, again, an incredible opportunity and a benefit to any therapist.
Absolutely. Yeah. He always says, I remember him saying, as humans, reflexes are a gift and a curse, right? I
Absolutely.
always talking about that at life. Well, the reason I grabbed you today is because we have the upcoming combined seminar in Phoenix, and it's available as virtual attendance as well. We only have about a week out before the course, but this is a remarkably rare opportunity because I was able to convince you after level 5 that I wanted you to return and host this course with me in Phoenix. Normally, being so close to Hollywood, we can't compete with all these celebrities that want your time. So this is awesome to have you. I'm really excited. We have a great group so far, but I wanted to shoot one more video for the rest of the users that haven't registered yet. What was it about the level 1 and level 2 intermediate course that you felt started to kind of connect the dots for you when you were learning PERT?
So originally, when level 1 was created, and I was asking John about spacing between level 1 and level 2, and I believe that to perfect some techniques and improvement, it took almost 7 years to jump from one layer to the other one. And again, for me personally, when I went through the steps, level 2 was probably a breaking point when I realized that this is it. This is the most incredible work, super effective, very easy to use. I mean, in some shape and form, I was almost lazy because I used to work with bodybuilders and with professional athletes. And having a background as a massage therapist, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to sit on somebody who has a complaint with some kind of a trigger point and try to release it for 15, 20 minutes, right? So it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of energy. And when I start using PERT, I realized that it took me seconds, sometimes like, 15 to 30 seconds, and already you start to see the changes. If you took the time and you did something for a minute, it was like, I almost felt guilty because the releases start coming so quickly, and it was very, very noticeable to me and to the client. So now we don't have just 2 levels, we don't have 3 levels, we have 5 levels of PERT. So PERT obviously evolved. And for a lot of people, they're not seeing the changes. But for me, doing it for now for over 17 years, I can tell you that it's amazing to see that people are getting so much more knowledge, so much more information in a condensed form. So you guys getting literally the pearls, you getting what's been proven to work under, all kinds of different circumstances. So to have a combined level 1 and level 2, I think is now an extra benefit, because typically what we saw before in the past is that people would get curious. They would get level 1 because it stands out. It's not your common approach. And people would take level 1, it was not too complicated, and they would kind of start, playing around a little bit with that. As they played around, they usually noticed some improvement as well. They didn't necessarily have the background and knowledge of why is it working in details, but it was working. So that would be the motivation to go and to reach the next level. However, sometimes people would space it out again too far. And then, there would be some kind of a disconnect on how do I get these techniques and how do I start thinking like a PERT practitioner? How do I start connecting the dots and break away from the old habits of seeing this is the body part and this is how I'm treating it, and start figuring out, okay, this is the body part and I'm going to ignore it for now. I'm going to see all the contributing factors. And for that, you definitely need to have level 2. So from that perspective, being able to combine now 2 levels together is a huge opportunity for somebody to dive into it right away. There is no delay. You go into it, you learn some techniques, you will have a practical applications labs, and people see how they easy to implement on each other. And then immediately we will dive in a little bit more depth in terms of asking questions or having conversations about certain groups of muscles that are, not recognized easily or not tested often by other practitioners. So it helps you to pay attention to certain primal parts of the body that can contribute to the improvements right away.
Wonderful. We had a chance to chat before we jumped on here, and we started to put together an offer that originally we were talking about would be only for level 3 and higher students. But we mentioned that for this group in particular, we're going to add them to the group that would be of, the offer would be available for graduates of this level 2 group, this combined group, to have a unique opportunity to have direct access to you as an instructor in kind of a mentorship program. So I wanted to make sure that they knew, the viewers knew about that. And did you have anything else to add?
Well, I hope that throughout the weekend I'll be able to prove people and to show my passion towards the work. It's definitely, I don't know how else to describe it. It's literally changed my life. So I think that PRRT is not recognized yet at the level that it should be recognized. And I want to do whatever it takes to make PRRT more visible. In order to make PRRT more visible, it needs to be effective. And again, I will do whatever I possibly can to make it the best level 1, level 2 combined for the new attendees. And it's my commitment that whoever is attending that seminar gets the most out of it. And if they need additional support, that they also have it. As you mentioned, it is that as things get a little bit more complicated and more advanced levels, people are more often reach out to me, and they have more difficult cases. They get brave enough to take more challenges, and we want to help people to resolve those kind of challenges. So it's a very, very useful protocol to have higher up. Right now, I want to start this at as early as possible at this level, so that if somebody completes level 1, level 2, and really commits to using this kind of work, I wanted them to know that they're not left out there just trying to figure it out on their own, that I will be there to help them as much as I possibly can. So that's why we're starting and introducing this new support environment. And hopefully that will also make an easier transition for people if they choose to go to a higher levels quicker. Because as I mentioned it, for me, it worked. And I went through all the levels in a very condensed period of time.
Mm. Beautiful. Well, I need to let you get back to work today. I know that you're busy, but I am looking forward. It'll be about a week from now that we'll be meeting in Phoenix and setting up. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And thank you, Mark, so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to meeting new people and have everybody at level 2 combined. So let's get as many people involved as possible. PRRT is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.